Welcome back to my channel. Second video here. Honestly, this is pretty exciting. Finally, I get to do another video. I've been working on things, and trust me, I'm gonna make this all more professional. I want to make it more official on as far as how my videos are gonna be, the style of it. I really don't know where I'm at right now. Just the name of the YouTube page is Marcos Gomez the Critic. I don't consider myself a film critic, but I love movies and I know what I like. Today, I'm not here to talk about that. Top 10 horror movies, my favorites. I know this list, it could be very divisive. Horror is that genre I feel in movies that I feel like it's kind of pushed to the side a little bit by when it comes to Oscar season. And I get it, horror movies, you're not necessarily looking for acting and all this kind of, technical things on what it takes to make a movie. So in the last maybe 15 years, we've seen movies that, require acting, require a good script, good stories. And yeah, sure, you can make cheesy horror movies, and there's a bunch of horror movies out there that I love. I can easily take these 10 that I'm going to name out and put another 10 in. But these are the 10 that I feel. There may not be the scariest movies. Some of them are honestly probably not even that scary at all. But they did something to me as far as me growing up and evolving as a film watcher, and as the genre of horror began to grow on me even more and more and more. It's amazing to see how much year after year horror changes, and there's movies out there that people don't even know about. And maybe that'll be another video where I can talk about movies that people don't even know about. And I feel like there's a lot of that. Yeah, like I said, I can have honorable mentions here. All the Friday the 13th, all the Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, all those movies, they're great slasher classics. But I don't think any of them are even on my list. I don't want to spoil it, but there's some movies here that are not on my list that I feel like will be on other people's lists. And I think there's movies on my list that may not be anywhere near other people's list. So that's fine. It's my perspective. It's my opinion. If my opinion sucks, go ahead and comment down below. See, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. What are your favorite horror movies? Please, I hope you guys do support and subscribe. Trust me, this is going to move much more smoother as I get the hang of all this stuff. But right now, let's get into it. 10 horror movies. My favorites. Here we go. At number 10, it's honestly, I remember watching this as a kid, just creeping me the heck out. But it also started the subgenre in horror that I so dearly love, and that is Night of the Living Dead, the original movie, 1968 movie. It's an amazing movie by George A. Romero. He's the father of the zombie genre, and I love this movie. This movie is creepy. It's black and white. I remember just the sounds of the dead, just watching this at night with my brothers, and it was just so creepy. And I remember just thinking, like, man, what is this? This is so different. And the storytelling in it as well. There's a whole backstory on the type of social stance this movie was making, or the type of message it was kind of setting out. But I don't really know too much about that. As far as I know, George A. Romero didn't even really think about that either. But until later on, as you watch the movie, there is some certain messages in the movie. But no, as a flat-out horror movie, this is a classic, man. It starts that genre of movies as zombie movies, and it's an amazing movie still to this day to watch. Some people may still see it as maybe a cheesy movie nowadays, but nah, I can still watch this and just have a ball watching this movie. At number 9. The Evil Dead, Part 1, the original Sam Raimi trilogy, but I like the first one. I know a lot of people love the second one. I think the second one is probably the more, I would say maybe the more classic and the one people tend to point to more. But I really love the first one, because even though the second one is probably the more successful one, it introduced comedy into it. And even though, yes, I love the comedy aspect of it, and I love the horror aspect of blending those genres into the second one, the first one to me is just a straight up creepy movie. and especially the first half of that movie is just, it's like, man, you're watching this movie, you're just like, what the heck am I watching? And there's a certain scene in there that I think a lot of people now would not do, and I totally get why. It's a scene that you still watch, and yes, you definitely do kind of cringe a little bit, but this movie is just incredible, man. The effects, that to me is what I think. You talk about movies, horror movies today and horror movies from back then. The practical effects that people would use in those days, I was just a huge fan of. I like seeing, especially someone like Tom Savini, like the way he does effects of horror, the blood, and all that kind of stuff. Till now, where it's a lot of CGI and computer, which is fine, but it's just not the same to me, at least. But Evil Dead, to me, that first movie, Sam Raimi just killed it. I love that movie. It's creepy, it's disgusting, it's bloody, it's gory, everything that I enjoy about horror movies, and it's a fun movie to watch. It really is. At number 8, I know for sure this will not be on a lot of lists, but this is definitely either a guilty pleasure of mine or just a movie that I purely enjoy. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, period, but it's number 8 as far as horror movies, and that is From Dusk Till Dawn. Whether you agree if it's a straight horror movie or not, it really isn't. It's one half Western heist movie and one half vampire bloody horror movie. This movie is awesome, man. This movie is Robert Rodriguez directing, Quentin Tarantino writing along with Robert Rodriguez, starring George Clooney with Quentin Tarantino as well as his co-star. You have Juliette Lewis, you have Harvey Keitel, you have Cheech Marin, you have a bunch of people in this movie. Tom Savini's in the movie as well as a sex machine. This movie is just an awesome movie. It's a fun movie. To me, this is what, if horror's not going to scare you, at least have fun with it. And to me, this movie just did that perfectly. It's one half of it is literally a straight Quentin Tarantino type movie with George Clooney, just a straight up man's man. I think growing up in the 90s, that is the guy you wanted to be. George Clooney in that movie, that is his best role. I will stand by that. But that first half is pretty much just them. It's just a straight Quentin Tarantino heist. The dialogue is it's always moving. It's a great movie. And then you get to the second half, and it's just a gore fest. It's a vampires all out war. I love this movie. There's not too much I can say about it, but it's one movie that anytime that it's on TV, anytime that I can watch it, I will definitely watch it. At number 7. This is more of a recent movie, and this is where I think things will start getting a little more interesting here. Number 7 is Train to Busan. Yes, this movie is incredible. This movie is amazing. I as far as the zombie genre goes, this is the best zombie movie almost ever made. I mean, you got Night of the Living Dead. Some people might put Dawn of the Dead up there, the original, and even the remake. The remake is great, but Train to Busan just captured just an amazing story in that movie. It's a Korean movie, which they're having a great flourish of movies right now. It's awesome to see, especially right now with Squid Game being out there. This movie, Train to Busan, is just an amazing film. It has heart. It isn't, and that's the thing I love about this movie. These are the movies. These are also the horror movies I think separate themselves from just horror. They have heart in it, and you could tell this movie it has heart. It has a true feel for these characters as you get to know them and you see them, what they're going through. You care for the people that are on the train. You care for and you also hate certain people that are in this train. And this movie does a great job at doing that. And then it has this great story about a father and his daughter. And, pretty much that aspect is amazing. This movie it's well acted. It's shot beautifully. It's an amazing movie. I could watch this over and over. It blew my mind, and I'm kind of really scared that they're remaking this movie here in the United States. I hope they don't mess it up. But I mean, why make a remake of this? Why do that when you have a perfectly fine film in the original Train to Busan? And I saw part 2, and yeah, Peninsula. Definitely wasn't the same as the first one, but this movie's amazing. I recommend anyone who loves zombie movies, check this movie out. It is one of the best. You will not be disappointed, I promise you. Coming in at number 6, the original Candyman. This movie's so underrated as far as as far as horror movies. This movie, as a kid, creeped me out. Watching it as I'm older, and I began to see the true, I guess, story behind it and what it took to make this movie and the actual messaging and all that kind of stuff. This movie is just amazing, man. It is creepy. It is atmospheric. It has this amazing setting. It's telling a great story. It has great messaging in it. And that's the thing. I never did a video on the Candyman that just came out recently, comparing it to this one. This one has a message in the movie, but it's wrapped up in horror. Where I feel like in the new Candyman, they definitely beat you over the head with the messaging, while trying to also throw in some horror elements into it. And I feel like that's, it's what they say, right? A picture's worth 1,000 words. Where I feel like the new Candyman, they were trying to say those 1,000 words before they even paint the picture. And I feel like in this original Candyman, they painted a beautiful picture, just a very weird, atmospheric movie that is just, it creeps you out from the moment it starts. From the moment you hear Tony Todd's voice, it's a classic villain, a classic horror villain. Tony Todd is a man. Virginia Madsen was in this as well. She's awesome. This movie is just, it's amazing. And I don't think any other Candyman, whatever comes after this, it's not going to beat that one. It creeped me out. I put this over, I know a lot of people compared it for some reason at one point with Nightmare on Elm Street. Give me Candyman over Nightmare on Elm Street any day. I don't care what you think. That's my thought. I'm in at number 5. And I know this is, here we go, top 5. It gets hard and it gets really, really tough. But I'm going to stick to my guts. And this is another more recent movie. Sorry, I'm typing here as I'm trying to find, just so I can have, the information of the movies on here, just in case I need it. But number 5, yeah, man, it's The Conjuring. James Wan's The Conjuring. This movie is amazing. It creeped me out as well. It was an amazing. Here's the thing about this one. It's not so much just a scary movie. It is, but it's a great story. It is a great script. James Wan here, you could tell he uses all his skills into this movie, and he does such a great job of his visual effects, of everything, the way he shoots certain things, and how the camera pans through the hallways, and the way that things are happening in this movie. He just does such a great job, and it really just, it's an amazing movie. I remember watching this in theater, and just the full experience of this movie is just, it's something that you had to really be there for. I love this movie so much. The sequels they're pretty good too, but yeah, this first one to me, man, it is a traditional horror movie as far as in all the sense of the haunted house, demonic possession. It's so good, and again, to me, what makes this movie, what puts this movie as far as it makes it stand out above other haunting movies is that the acting is just so good, and the script is also so good. It's one of the best movies, honestly, that I can rewatch over and over. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, they kill this movie. I really do enjoy them. I mean, they created a whole universe just based off these two. And it's an amazing movie. And James Wan is a master at what he does. I don't care what people think about him. Malignant is awesome. Watch that as well. But The Conjuring, yes, number 5 to me, easily. At number 4, here we go with the classic. And I know many people consider this one of the best horror movies of all time. But it's my number 4, and that is The Shining. The Shining scared the hell out of me, man, as a kid. It really did. It messed me up for a while watching this as a kid, especially that bathtub scene. Oh, God. Yeah, it's just, this scene is amazing. I mean, this movie is amazing. It's Jack Nicholson at his best. It's Stanley Kubrick at his best. It's just an amazing story here. Some people consider this, the best horror movie of all time. Well, I have 3 other movies that say otherwise for me. But this movie is just, again, atmospheric. It's very, it drags a little bit, but I love that. I love that slow burn type horror movies that takes its time in telling the story. And not only that, but it is it's the breaking down of characters. Again, this is when horror movies, to me, exceed above a lot of genres sometimes. And I feel like it's way overlooked. Horror movies, these actors have to portray different emotions. They have to go from one point to point B, or whatever you want to call it. And oftentimes in action movies and other movies, it's not too big of a distance in those movies, even dramatic movies. Horror movies, sometimes you have to reach a certain distance. You have to go from not scared to really scared. And to me, fear, showing those emotions, figuring things out, and not only that, but then the psychological horror aspect of this movie is just an amazing movie. It's an amazing thing to do. Shelley Duvall is in this. It's an awesome movie to watch. I remember just watching this as a kid and just, God, I couldn't even get through it. But once I officially grew up and I got through it and just realized how awesome this movie is, and even the sequel to the sequel, Doctor Sleep, is awesome as well. The Shining, man, it's just one of those movies that it's the reason why it's impacted so many horror movies nowadays, even filmmaking in general. It's made a huge impact, but that's not the reason why it's number 4 for me. I mean, obviously, it makes an impact, but this movie just scares the hell out of me, and I feel like that's why. I think it's probably one of the most creepiest movies that I have on my list, besides maybe my number 3. And at number 3, The Ring. Whew, The Ring, man. This movie right here scared me. This movie, as a kid watching this in theaters, I mean, there's no better experience I think that I've had with the horror movie than this movie here. It's the creepiness, again, the slow paced, the atmosphere in this movie for sure. Even that, gosh, the setting it brings. The moment the movie cuts on, you just feel this certain just weight all of a sudden put on you, and it's an amazing movie. It came out at a weird time too. It came out right kind of on the edge of the Scream movies and all those slasher flicks. And then this movie just comes in out of nowhere. Yes, I know it's a remake from the Japanese Ring U, and I've seen I love that movie, but this is the one that I saw first. As much as I love Ring U, this movie impacted me in ways that I cannot explain, man. This movie, it's just so good. It's so good. Naomi Watts in this kills it as the mom and as the main character in the movie. Man, every time I watch this movie, it just captivates me. From the video itself that's in it, it's so creepy. Again, the atmosphere, the settings around it. And I like that it's an investigative type horror movie, because it's very much like The Conjuring. Well, I guess The Conjuring 3 recently made it more investigative. I like investigative horror movies, and I think when they do it well, you can even kind of expand yourself a little bit more. And I feel like The Ring did a great job in that. The history of the family and the little girl that's in the movie. This movie just blew me away when I watched it. I remember as a kid, I just didn't watch it. I don't want to watch it anymore. But the scenes in this movie, man, it was embedded in my head for so long. This is what horror movies should do. It leaves something in you, and it leaves a mark for you to always have, man. And honestly, what other movies have done that I can really count on? Honestly, The Ring to me did that, especially that final 10-minute scene of the girl coming out of the TV, man. I mean, I remember just watching that in theater, and just the whole theater, this is my first experience, the whole theater was it was chaos. That scene is incredible. There's not too many movies that have done that, where it's just like, what the heck is going on here? And yeah, I mean, that movie is it's a beautiful movie. I recommend it to anyone, obviously. I mean, especially now during Halloween. How many more creepy movies can you name? Number 2, it's not necessarily a horror movie that made me scared, but it's a horror movie that has, it's a horror movie aspect, but also has a sense of fantasy and mystery. And I know this is a much recent movie, and I know many people may have not heard of this movie. I do not care. Tigers Are Not Afraid. This movie blew me away, man. This movie is just so good. It's a movie about kids. I know many people haven't heard of this movie, and I recommend anyone who hasn't heard of this and is watching this right now, please find a way to watch this. Go on Shudder, get a trial. I don't know what you got to do. Rent the movie. Watch this movie. It is impactful. It is great storytelling. It has emotion. It is a sad story, but it also has creepy elements to it, and they use horror in just such a great way. It's directed by Issa Lopez, and it takes place in Mexico with these orphan kids whose parents have been taken either by the cartels, been killed by the cartels that are running those streets right now. But it's kids. I mean, oftentimes, especially in the kids' head, you don't know if if it's their imagination or what is it they're seeing, but their imaginations are so much more better than the adults. And in this movie, it just shows that so well what kids can do. And there are some heavy, heavy, heavy hitting moments in this movie that every time I watch, I get choked up. I want to cry. This movie is just beautiful to watch. Issa Lopez does an amazing, amazing job with this film. So much that she got the attention of Guillermo del Toro. We all know, obviously, him. He's just an amazing, amazing director as well. She got his attention, and I believe now they're working on some kind of maybe wolf movie or werewolf movie. I don't know exactly, but I'll be excited to see anything they do together, man. Yeah, Tigers Are Not Afraid. Gosh, this movie's amazing. It deserves so much more recognition than what it's getting. Is it a straight traditional horror movie? No, but it has horror in it, and honestly, often. I think this is also the cool thing about this movie is it makes you think, what is the real horror of the world? Is it the world we can't see, or is it the reality of our surroundings? Is that to me, the true horror sometimes for these kids was what they're facing in real life, what the real people that are running those streets. Please just watch this movie, Tigers Are Not Afraid. It's an amazing, amazing movie. I know I use amazing a lot, but this is the top 10 horror list. I do not care. And number 1, Hereditary. That's right. Hereditary, I mean, it's one of the creepiest movies ever, one of the greatest stories ever told as far as a horror movie. And it's just probably has one of the greatest acting performances ever in a horror movie by Toni Collette as the mom in this movie. She knocks it out the park. She should have gotten an Oscar nomination. And again, this kind of goes back to horror movies being kind of pushed to the side when it comes to Oscar season, because Toni Collette in this movie, when I talk about range, going from point A to point B, she goes from point A to point B in a variety of different ways, man. It is an amazing, amazing movie. Again, you think, when you see the trailer, you think it's going to go one direction, especially with the little girl that you see in the trailers. That's the one that they keep pushing in the trailer. And then something happens in that movie. I mean, I don't want to spoil it just in case people haven't seen it, but then there's certain things that happen, and all of a sudden the movie begins to go in another direction. I remember watching this on my way, what is this movie really about? And as things begin to happen, and you begin to see how the story begins to break down, it's just, it takes you on this journey of just absolute grief again. It's grief, it's horror, it's dark, it's mysterious, it's depressing. It's again, slow burn at its finest, storytelling. When it's a slow burn movie, I don't mind it because it's telling you a story, and it's slowly picking off these characters. It's stretching who they are, except for the dad. I think the dad's the only one that's really the straight man here. You don't really get to see him grow or do anything. He's just kind of just watching. He's pretty much us. We're watching with him. Like, what the heck is going on with these kids? What the heck is going on with everyone here? And this movie is amazing. I challenge anyone to say what movie has done better than this. I mean, again, I know Exorcist is out there, and I know that movie is incredible. But the time that I saw it, it just didn't do much for me as what this did. This movie has opened my eyes as far as filmmaking goes, and as far as the style of horror it can create. It's not only just a straight horror movie, jump scares and this and that. That can be fun, sure. It's a lot of mainstream movies do that. It's all about jump scares. This movie, very little jump scares. It's just straight imagery. It has moments in this movie that are just straight bone chilling, and I absolutely love this movie. Ari Aster is an amazing filmmaker. He continues to just blow me away with some of the work he's doing. This Midsummer, and I'm excited to see what else he continues to do. But yeah, man, I mean, Hereditary, it's up there. Honestly, it's gonna be on a lot of people's top 10 lists as far as horror movies. It has to be. But this is my list, man. You can go ahead and argue with me. That's fine. Comment in the sections. Hey, I might be wrong. That's your opinion again. But horror is fun, man. This is why I can take these 10 movies and add 10 silly horror movies that I absolutely love. You got Night of the Demons. You got Evil Dead 2 that I love. You got Jeepers Creepers, that's another movie that I really enjoy. You have a lot of movies out there, man, that are just awesome. Trust me, I've seen it all. Right now, I can't even think of many. Any of the It movies to me are fun to watch. I mean, come on, man. I mean, any other vampire, Nosferatu, the old school monster flicks, those are just so fun to watch. But yeah, this is my list. This is the list that I feel like I could sit with all 10 movies here. If you put me in a room and say, watch 10 movies right now, horror movies, which 10? These are the 10 that I'm choosing easily. And that is just the way it is, man. Again, please follow, subscribe. I'm going to keep pushing, man. I'm going to keep doing this. Hopefully, I'm doing this right now at work, after work. This is the setting, you know, but hopefully I'm going to build something here, man. And I really hope I do. I hope you guys follow me in this journey. Hopefully I can maybe give you guys movies that you've never heard of, and you can watch them, and maybe you guys can do the same for me. Hey, that's always cool, man. I love movies. I love entertainment. It's a window into a world that, you know, you kind of just leave for a while from this world and just either enjoy yourself or get scared, whatever you want to do, man. I love that. And so, yeah, please follow, like, subscribe, do all those things, man. Support me, all my homies that are watching, all the buddies, all the family that is watching. Please, guys, support me. That'd be awesome. And I appreciate you guys very, very much. This is my top 10 horror movies list. And I'm out. Thank you, guys.